Yeah. So we were proud to be part of the Clifton golf outing again. Last year was our first year and it was a great success. So we are again this year we'll be part of it, and I think Tom will represent us and some other employees from the market. Will go out and have fun and be part of the great event. There's an issue with the parking lot. I think somebody stole that metal piece that goes at the bottom, and we're working on it. It's actually a drain underneath, so we have to open that before we cover that. So I'm working with that. I'm trying to get some bids, and hopefully we'll get that worked out here pretty soon. So in meantime, just if you're going down there, just take your time, go slow, so make sure your car doesn't get damaged. So as always, we are hiring. If anybody looking for work, we need workers. We are. It's a pandemic issue, and I think everybody's facing it, and we are not exception. We are in the same boat. So hopefully we'll get it fully staffed here soon, and then we'll be able to implement some of the ideas that the community has been asking, and some of the new things that we wanted to bring.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Singh.
No.
But welcome, Joe. Jay, you never know who's going to come in there. But I just put up a slideshow, and we just talk about your art.
Yeah, sure.
How long you been in Cincinnati?
For a year.
A year. Well, introduce yourself.
So my name is Jim Tucker. I refer to myself as an image maker. I was born in England and left in 2007 and went the longest route possible to get here, I think, through East Asia for 7 years, and then on the West Coast for 7 years, and then we arrived here last year with my wife and child.
Gosh. Well, what made you want to come to Cincinnati?
It's funny to hear people say that, because I really love this city. It's after you've lived in many other places, it's quite a treat to be here. My spouse is a doctor, so children's was the big draw for us. And when she was finding the place to do her residency, I was working in education, in K-12 art education, and I had ideas about things that I wanted to do with regards to being working in the arts and in education, but not in a traditional K-12 setting. And while researching places that we could potentially move to, the place that stuck out the most was Cincinnati because of the artworks program. It was really a first for me to find a place that has a legitimate public arts program that was kind of in line with what I was interested in.
Wow, that's first class.
Yeah.
And did you do murals for the artworks?
I did. I arrived here last year, and about 3 days after we arrived, after we drove from Arizona, I got to work on the piece, which was designed by April Tsunami, who is a Columbus-based artist, and it exists in the back of brew house, in East Walnut Hills.
Were you also working with the Cincinnati Art Museum?
Yep.
What happened there?
I am the artist in residence at the Cincinnati Art Museum in tandem with Michael Thompson, who I actually met through that artworks project, who is a wonderful young artist. And yeah, we, in line with both of our interests that's right. In line with both of our interests in arts and education and collaboration and ideas about how art should kind of be interactive and user-friendly, I think. That's what came about with that. And so that's where that is, and that's how that has all come together. And that was a really special project.
That's amazing. Well, Cincinnati has really welcomed you.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if you can get any higher unless you have your own show down at the Contemporary Art Center.
Right, well, fingers crossed. So I actually work for Artworks as well now, as in a year-round position in which my official title is the Mural Studio Manager. And I look at it as being a kind of unofficial art school, and it's pretty special because I don't know if there's any other programs that exist like this in the country, but I have 10 who are called junior muralists who I work alongside, and it's a wonderful kind of mentorship program where we are going through the stages of receiving project proposals, and collectively we are doing all the legwork to take it through to completion. So it's kind of breaking from the traditional artworks mold where people would just be, young people would be hired for a season and not necessarily know any of the behind the scenes stuff. And this kind of gets them into some incredible kind of, give them some incredible kind of administrative exposure, hopefully some design exposure coming up soon. But yeah, I mean, you nailed it. Cincinnati has been incredibly kind to me since I've been here. So it's a dream move for us right now.
Well, let's hope you're cultivated the wealthy patrons.
Yeah, right.
Who are they?
Yeah, who are they? I don't know.
I don't expect you to tell me.
No.
Keep your patrons to yourself.
I don't think I have any right now. I think it's enough of a hustle. I spend my time bouncing backwards and forwards between Phoenix. I still have one really, really good client in Phoenix, and he's very, very supportive of my work, and fly back there. I went back this year to go and paint 4 murals in 5 days for him. That was a great experience. And yeah, I have my gallery that I also work with, not my gallery, a gallery that I work with called Design Collective in Northside. And, you know, they kind of gave me the real estate outside the front of their store where I painted up a big tiger, which I think is the reason that Paige hit me up to do this show.
Well, you have a series of techniques here. These pieces that have wood on top of them or overlaid with. Yeah. Was that your pandemic work?
No, that's actually kind of more where I am headed these days. The older stuff, the pandemic stuff. I come from a background where I really enjoy character design, and I don't know if it comes.
Here's a series of 4 of them right here.
Right. Yeah.
That's this one.
I wanted to turn it. This is something I've been working with for a long time in kind of my sketchbook. Ideas around automation and a lot of kind of like free form and not worrying so much about being client driven or occasion driven. Also, a lot of it kind of stems from the fact that with the crazy world that we live in, it's kind of interesting to kind of think about ways of coping, and I think a lot of that stems from the pandemic. Ideas of just kind of responding, reacting to being in the moment, and that is the impetus behind a lot of this work and the inspiration behind a lot of this work. Just leaning on skills that I've acquired and then taking it to more of an automatic process in order that I can create pieces of work that don't really have any plan beforehand. That I look to as almost like an as a meditation and kind of a visual jazz in many ways as well.
Well, this is one of those pieces.
This is one from the pandemic. Yeah, this is definitely one from the pandemic. This is an older piece, which was, and the reason this is one of 4 pieces. The other 3 are at my house. I showed these last year in October at Design Collective. The thing that I enjoy about these so much is they were all made with found materials. And here's another piece, and this is the direction you're going into. I think so. Yeah, it was more of a temperature check. I created those 4 pieces in 24 hours the week of the show, just because I wanted to see how people would react to them, and this was a great place to showcase that. And it was very well received. Everybody I spoke to wanted to talk about those and like those, so gives me encouragement.
Yes, and they're very accessible. They make use of we have color fields, and then you lay in the black line afterwards.
That's right.
So and it has sort of a classic nature to it. And also, it seems like a master cartoonist,
Right.
something like you might find in a comic book.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of my inspiration. I don't know if it's inspiration. It's just kind of skills that I've acquired over the years. I never really set out to be a cartoonist in any way, shape, or form, but it just kind of came around. I think a lot of that came from living in East Asia, where everything has a character to it and is kind of in a cartoon wise. And I feel like, it was just a relationship or a skill set that was brought from the experience of living there in the greater Seoul area in South Korea.
Wow. Well, the culture of the young people in South Korea is really something else.
Yeah. It's yes.
Everything is colorized, and they have little icons. And were you painting at that time?
I was, yeah, I was. I was doing a lot of screen printing back then, always involved in the graphic arts, and then I was doing a lot of wheat pastes where I'd go around the city and just put characters up, and I would also on occasion was known to do some spray painting out there as well.
Wow. Well, what's their policy on graffiti in there?
Tough.
Really?
Oh yeah.
It's like Cincinnati. They don't even stand for it at all around here.
I was a much younger man then, and had a lot more, had much less to lose. I think it's fair to say. So yeah, I know people that would kind of be, if they got arrested, they were kind of kept hostage until they paid like a $5,000 fine.
Oh my.
And then they would be released and kicked out of the country.
Oh my. So
Yeah.
You were really sticking your neck out.
Without knowing at the time, yeah.
Oh man.
It's like any city. There's areas that you where it's more acceptable, and then there's areas that's just an absolute no-go.
You must know Tenzing. He is a local artist here.
I am aware of him, yeah.
And we see his stickers all over on the backs of stop signs and stuff like that. Mailboxes, we do one out here.
Right on.
So
I feel like that kind of stuff is more, what's really surely the police have got better things to do with their time than to pull somebody up and put a sticker up somewhere on the back of the stop sign.
I think it's really the residents, they get pissed off when their stuff is tagged.
Okay.
And they're always tagging the CVS store. You can always see the paint that's blue paint, brown paint. There's a few places. Here, Kip Egan has been putting artwork on the utility boxes so they don't get tagged.
Okay.
It's that code of ethics amongst taggers.
Indeed.
It's a piece of art. So I guess we need designated pieces of art everywhere so that other artists will respect it. So.
Yeah, that's true. And also to think about, something I think that works well for a city is to kind of have a legalized zone as well. That allows people to have the time to really develop their crafts, right? I feel like with a lot of spray paint in particular and all the stigma that comes with it, people don't have a place that they can kind of really go and experiment with it. And because it's such a mainstream tool in the world of muralism now, it is something that would benefit from people from having the opportunity to use and to become experienced with in order that they can be more proficient with it. And I think that's how we help the young people in Cincinnati become incredible artists, incredible streets. There's so much talent in this city, because I know because I work with them every day. But the cities like Barcelona, which has almost, it seems like whatever the opposite of a zero tolerance is towards graffiti. Just everything is caked in paint, and that just allows people to kind of work out what they wanna do, and how to fulfill their potential. I think is the best way to put it. If you were to ask if you were to ask a legitimate graffiti writer, they might say the complete opposite. It's about the hours sneaking around train yards, put their lives at risk, running from police, being able to execute high quality work at a very, very rapid pace. They might say that is the right way to kind of build that skill set.
It reminds me of Shepard Farley when he was just printing stuff on a printer and he'd tile it.
Yeah.
With paste.
Right.
It's what a late night. Constantly working furiously to get it done. Have a couple of spotters to keep an eye on. Gee, it seems like a job for an acrobat.
I think the adrenaline rush is all part and parcel of it as well.
Maybe eventually we'll develop a spray gun that you just put your image in the spray gun. The gun has a multiple printer head. Yeah. It knows where it is, so you just move it across the wall and art is automatically transferred to it.
That's one way. I think there's a lot of artists who would say they hate the idea of that. Because it's it's an acquired skill set, and I think with this day and age where there is, it almost seems like you shouldn't be considered an artist unless you are producing murals. That's a kind of what my read about how a lot of people perceive public art. I feel like there is become like everybody kind of wants to be a muralist, but it's not necessarily always the right avenue for everybody. So I think it's good that there are certain skills that need to be acquired in order for you to be recognized as a good muralist.
Well, you're definitely working big. You can't really take it with you or sell it so much.
Right.
I don't know how you get financing for that.
No, I think that's something that's as somebody who's not a graffiti, I don't consider myself a graffiti artist at all. But for the graffiti heads out there, I think that's the real kind of beauty of it, is the fact that there's kind of, if you look at it from strictly from an elements of art and principles design point of view, in the same way that you might have done with abstract expressionism 50 years ago. Those guys are out there painting, and they're doing it for no other rhyme or reason but then to get accolade from their peers. And just a lot of these guys, have no kind of formal art school education or anything like that, but have an incredible understanding of elements of art and principles of design, creating abstract images, showing incredible technical skills with a very, very difficult medium to use. It's really a quite bizarre existence. And they're not doing it for money, they're doing it purely for acceptance by their peers.
Well, it started with spray paint. And do artists now, do they print them out as vinyl stickers and go around and stick them up, like large format?
I haven't heard that so much. Not with graffiti. I'm sure there are some people that do that. Wheat pasting, I think, is the closest that people might get to that.
If you're just printing out something, maybe a tile image or something. And I guess you always got large pieces of paper that has a stencil and you spray paint.
Yeah.
Spray paint that.
Right. But there are artists, a really well known street art person who started off as a street artist and has gone far beyond that part of the culture, is that they go by the name of Swoon, and they are a printmaker, and all of their street pieces were, I believe, giant block prints, which were then put onto paper and then pasted up across cities in the world. So a really like interesting way to kind of approach street art.
There's a giant block print.
Yeah.
Was it multicolored? Or?
I think they tended to be monochrome, but then they were always kind of juxtaposed with really intricate paper cuts as well. A lot of kind of sacred geometry and things like that.
Wow. Well, Artworks has sort of officialized the permanent murals around. I think most major artists in Cincinnati are represented. Yeah,
it's I'm proud of what they do and look forward to being a part of their mission going forwards.
I thought they were going to run out of walls to paint, and they would have to go to another thing.
Yeah.
Have you thought about the other thing yet?
No, I'm not.
It seemed like they just said, well, no, there's plenty of walls left. We got time to paint the walls.
I think so. It's
you got this stone wall here.
Right.
Something could happen on that.
Yeah, it's interesting how, I mean, you know, as a newcomer to the area, it seems like other places around the greater Cincinnati area, like Hamilton now has its summer mural program as well called Street Spark, and it's just really intriguing to see how the idea of public art has kind of really taken off. It's very special, I think. I love walking around and seeing art.
Every city is on the bandwagon using their artists to promote the city. Yeah. And it's a great marriage. It does liven up the downtown. I think a lot of small towns with empty shops just put artists in there and have little gallery walks.
Right.
Well, it's taken over the world now. Every city wants its arts program.
It does.
So what are you working on right now?
Right now, let me think. I just finished mainly commercial work. This is kind of the weird situation how my life is when we moved here, I had ideas that I would have a lot more downtime in order to kind of work on my own personal stuff. These days things just seem to come thick and fast for me, and I have my part-time job with Artworks, and then in addition to that, I am pitching to clients. It seems constantly, and this is kind of ties in really nicely to these pieces that I put up in here. Is things are so fast at the moment that I am able to kind of lean onto these ideas of automation and just using the skill set that I have and just reflecting on the feelings of pieces or whatever the brief is that a client gives me, and just producing work. And it's funny, I think, as somebody who in the earlier part of their career trying to be a commercial artist spent forever kind of fretting on pleasing clients, whereas these days I have developed this really enjoyable system where I am kind of just not putting too much thought into it, just putting things out there, and so far everybody's kind of bitten, and it's a really enjoyable process to be a part of. And however, that's also preventing me from being able to really invest in the fine art stuff that I would like to kind of carve out some time to be able to.
And would this be having to do with automation?
The fine art stuff? Yeah, so with these pieces, where they just have one small wooden piece on top, I really want to push that as far as I can. I have ideas about kind of taking murals and making them almost three-dimensional, so they're coming out far and far and far from the wall as possible. So just, you know, the idea of it being a piece and then it kind of coming out as far as I can get it. That's my dream. I just need to get the time to be able to invest into doing that.
No, did you want the crackle surface on that?
That's just a beautiful mistake.
I still haven't figured out exactly how you manage your crackle.
Like it's just something to do with the spray paint. In this particular circumstance, it's the spray paint and the paint I use to go over top of it, probably combined with the varnish that's on there as well.
Yeah, well, I love this dual tone spray, you know, in here. And it's a classic old school.
Right.
And they used to coat boards with multicolors, and then they have a black print over it. Circus posters.
Yeah.
You can still order them today in this technique, but this line work has this very fun, loving manner about it. I can only say, did you get it from your child?
Yeah, I really don't know 100%.
Reminds me a lot of Rick Millet's work. You might know Rick.
No, I don't.
But he has this style, not unlike yours. It seemingly randomly goes on. You can just keep moving across the space and put some more tones in there, and then these, and using various shapes like this.
Okay, I have to look that up. No, my line work is just something I think I've become really comfortable with. A lot of this comes from the group of artists that I worked with in South Korea. There's one particular French guy who I was very close with, and he had a huge influence from comics, and his line work is really, really strong and clearly had an influence on me because I think a lot of the boldness of that comes from time spent with him. It's always interesting, I think, for myself and to look at other young artists that I work with, is watching the kind of cycles as an artist. Like, you know, you look at kids kind of from 13 through to 21 and they're obsessed with realism, and then they start to kind of move back the other way. And so that was kind of my story, kind of learn to undraw, but then also refining their skills and their process at the same time. So yeah, that's a big part of it. One of my dear friends in this city called John Flannery from Cryptogram is his print shop in Northside. He is definitely a big influence on my style these days, just having spent time with John. He's an incredible resource on color and post-production, and has introduced me to a whole bunch of kind of, you know, 60s, 70s poster making, which includes a huge, you know, the colors and the color gradients. I definitely recognize come from that kind of sphere of influence.
Fascinating. Well, the old posters, you know, at screen printing, sometimes use paper stencil, but
Right.
Like you could get maybe one or two prints out of it.
Yeah.
But it seems like the spray can's not going away anywhere anytime soon. It seems to be such an elegant motive force to get a lot of color out there quickly.
Yes.
And I don't see how. I guess the artworks, sometimes they've commissioned like straight up spray paint.
I don't know about that.
I haven't seen one. It seems like, why not? You know, there's that paint shop down on Central Parkway that always has a nice mural on the side. It's called like Color Ink.
Oh, I don't know that.
My Mohawk.
Oh, okay.
Street. It's, if you wind on Central Parkway, it's there.
All right.
I'm trying to think of some other classic spray paint jobs here in town, but I can't. The city's really against them. I don't know.
Sure.
Do you know those people?
I know, and I think I know a few of them.
The graffiti.
Yeah.
The eradicators.
They like to, you know, for the most part, keep themselves to themselves, as they should do, because they've got to protect themselves and their wallets, right? But yeah, I definitely hear you. They can sometimes be an interesting crowd to roll with, and you have to kind of prove your worth before you.
Well, they don't even allow
get accepted.
flyers put on telephone poles here.
In the city as a whole.
I keep on thinking, in the middle of the night or the morning, somebody's going out there and ripping them all down.
Wow.
You can see all the staples on the poles,
Mm.
but I don't know who's doing it. They're having fun doing it.
Hilarious.
It's not. All the years of artworks developing, it hadn't really transferred over to helping like the grassroots spray painters in town.
Mm.
What's the protocol for who are the great ones these days? I don't know. But well, thanks, Jim, very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I look forward to posting this online.
Yeah, let me. Thank you.
I'll send you a link to it. And,
very nice to have a moment to talk to you.
Pleasure.
All right,
thanks
cheers.
for stopping in.
Yeah, thank you.
Made the show.
All right, appreciate your time.
All right.
You have a good one. Take care now.
Well, introduce yourself.
Right. Hi, everyone. I'm Daija Williams. I'm a local street artist and painter and printer and teacher from Cincinnati. I grew up here. Both my parents are artists, so I've been immersed in the art world my whole life and can't get out of it. Love it.
Well, this current piece on the screen is painted on a circular piece of rather heavy wood.
Yeah. A lot of my paintings are in things that I can find or be resourceful, but I found those wood panels at hardware store. Yeah, I remember.
It looked like they're top pieces for to go for a barrel.
Yeah, that's the Dino Ghost. Those characters started as like hazmat ghosts or ghosts in hazmat suits, and now they're getting a little more pushed a little further into more personality and that, I guess, the dinosaur. Awesome.
And do you graffiti these out on the street?
I have a couple of murals. If it's graffiti or
Oh, it's a mural.
yeah, I have a lot of murals right now, and then I like to do like smaller tags, like stickers and little quick notes and stuff, but you can find them.
Well, I have to look for your tag. The murals, were they sponsored by Artworks?
One of them was, yes, the one on 13th Street. They requested a design, see if it's painted it in 2020. And then my other one is in Camp Washington, at the back school in their community garden space. It's got like a huge fence, and I like do something to it. So.
And are you working on a project now? What are you installing?
Yeah, I'm installing a Union Terminal at the museum center in the kids space. I'm collaborating with a good friend of mine, done a few pieces around town. Their name's Lizzie Duquette. And we're doing like parachute cloth, and we spent all last month in workshops with the kids, and we had a partner as well.
And then we have some other pieces of the skateboards.
Yeah.
Now, this is a close-up of it, but was it an operational skateboard at one time?
Yeah, I like to rehab old boards from the community if they're mine or friends of mine. I also skate. The fun canvas to work with. It's a really odd shape.
I'll say. But these characters, they become your friends over the years.
Yeah, basically.
It's very much like I think the few seems to come up on a motif of somewhat like a cartoon character or something. This artist over here, Jim, he's got these small pieces of laminated work, and of course Citizens has a well-honed motif here. And this is one of your pieces here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the title of that one?
I call those yin yang ghosts because they're two different opposite entities coming together.
Yes, I thought maybe those dots were derived from dominoes.
I've gotten that before, yeah. Or Celestials from Marvel. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like those eyes and a series of eyes have just been influenced by different things. They look like aliens, ghosts.
So does this piece of Jim Tucker's. You
Yeah.
seem to be in the same vein of, but it's very popular to have a cartoon character of your own that you can quickly follow up.
Mhm.
Do you ever put balloons in and have them say things?
Sometimes, every once in a while.
Uh-huh.
It started out as ghosts on skateboards, and then we kind of expanded to doing more than just skating.
So you probably still are a skateboarder.
Yeah, I like to skate around.
I think I'd kill myself. I never got on the skateboard.
It's very true. I've been skating since I was 8, so like I had a bike, you know.
Did you bike here?
No, I didn't.
And this is the alien painting, and the three-eyed person up here. This is the character, I guess.
Yeah, that's the anti-ghost. It's like a cat because it's the ghost upside down. Yeah, it's in a UFO. I like elements from like space sci-fi